So, in today's video, I want to talk about what it's like having Tourette's now for the past 15 years and pretty much what I've learned, and hopefully this video will help you. So, my name's Dennis. I am turning 20 soon. I'm 19 now, but next month I'll be 20, and I've had Tourette's since I was 5. So, it's gonna be 15 years soon living with them. And I've been through a lot. My parents have been through a lot. You learn a lot about yourself and about the environment, about the people you stay with, your friends with, your, emotions, everything. And in the past 15 years, if you're so young and you're watching this video, maybe you're with your parents and, maybe you're trying to figure out how to, stop those Tourette's. I want to start this video by saying there's no medicine, so maybe they're creating one, but I've tried everything that there is, and unfortunately nothing helped me. Tourette's are more of, actually let me just say what Tourette's are. So if you don't know what Tourette's are, it's like the most simplest example I could give you. It's like a sneeze, right? You try and hold it in, it feels really uncomfortable, you want to just let it out, but let's say you're doing maybe an exam in the hall, it's quiet, and you're about to sneeze and you just try and hold it in. That's how a Tourette feels, or more short up tic, And for the past 15 years, I had to experience that, holding in my Tourette's, everywhere in public, during exams, when I'm working, in the gym, and it does get really uncomfortable and painful. But at the end of the day, you have to learn to hold it in, because obviously, as much as in this world, people have to understand you, not a lot of people will, and a lot of people will take it the wrong way and will, sadly disrespect you, make fun of you. And realistically, from experience, mentally, you learn a lot. I went through so many awkward moments. I went through so many, sad, painful moments that it's sometimes I call myself lucky. Not because I had Tourette's, but because what I've learned from those Tourette's. Because you go through so much different situations that when it comes to, something similar happens, but it's not your Tourette's. For example, let's say before, when I was in secondary school, you make so much, noises during, like, when there's a hall and there's, 100 kids, and you're making noise and swearing, making weird sounds. Everyone looks at you, you feel awkward. And, now when something happens, something awkward happens, you don't really, you've done it pretty much so many times where it doesn't bother you. And, it feels good when, not like when you do something awkward, but when you do it and like something weird happens or funny, it doesn't really affect you. You're so used to it that to the point where you just don't really care, right? Because so many people, obviously nowadays, a lot of people are really emotional, and if something awkward happens, they're gonna go in a corner, cry and feel embarrassed and not gonna want to come out. But when you've been doing Tourette's for like 10 years, every day you've pretty much made awkward situations that when it happens to you, when you're at work or something, you just don't really bother about it. You don't really care what people think about you. And I feel like that's, it takes, for other people years to master that skill, to learn to not really give a shit what other people think about you. And I do take it like a, like I've been training myself pretty much. Like sometimes I do feel lucky because you learn so much about yourself, you train yourself so much that when you have to do something in real life and it maybe doesn't go your way, you're like, I've done this a million times before in life. I've been through those emotions many, many times. And you just don't really care. And, you know, even though at the beginning it wasn't really nice, people made fun of you, you will be in awkward situations, you will be in situations where you're like, fuck, I wish I could just, you know, disappear right now. But later in life, you're like, I don't care. Well, I've been through this many, many times. Like, you really think this is gonna make me feel awkward? You're really gonna make this, you know, you can make fun of me. I've trained myself so many times that this doesn't bother me anymore. But anyway, at work, you know, how do you control your Tourette's? I've spoke about this previously in my other videos, but as I was talking about the medicine, there's not really any medicine that could help you. You know, I've tried many of them, but there is one way you could learn to control your Tourette's, and it does take practice. You're not gonna master it overnight. It will take you weeks, months. You know, if you're a parent and you're watching this, you know, your kid, it also, you know, Tourette's, well, learning to hold your Tourette's, it depends a lot on your kid, right? If your kid wants to learn how to, if he wants to learn how to hold it, he will eventually train himself and be good at holding it in different situations. And what I mean by that is simply by sitting down with him, or, you know, if you're watching this and you have Tourette's, just sit down, put a timer on. You could be on your own, you could be with your friend, you could be with your family member, anyone. And either watch yourself or get someone to watch you and put a timer, start the timer, and just hold it in. And let's say you hold it in the first time for 20 seconds. Stop the timer, relax, start again. Try it out for 30 seconds. And gradually increase the time. Try your best to increase it. Try and hold in for a minute, 2, 5, 10, half an hour. And that's how you train yourself, right? Because, you know, even though, yes, you have Tourette's, you can't help yourself. Learning how to hold, being able to hold them, you know, will help you out a lot in life, right? Because not just by, oh, you know, when I say learn to hold in, I don't mean like, oh, because, you know, you're going to be working with people and you might piss them off, but also just in general to stop yourself from being hurt in life. And what I mean by that is, for example, when I go gym, right, if I didn't learn how to hold my Tourette's in, the amount of times I would have dropped the weight on myself. Because when you lift weight, for example, let's say you're doing bench press, right? The amount of times my Tourette's are like, let go, let go, let go. If I did, you know, if I didn't learn to control myself, I would just let go of my, of the, dumbbells or whatever, barbell with weights on, and it would have landed on my neck or my chest. I would have been injured, who knows, even maybe in a worse situation. And when you learn to control yourself, you manage to, even though sometimes, like today, I was doing legs. It's weird, but the more, like, I don't know how to explain it, but certain workouts, it's a lot easier. Your tics are, like, they come out a lot more. Like, for example, today, I was doing leg extensions, and I don't know why, it's just, like, it's so much easier to do your Tourette's than, for example, squats. It's just different workouts, different movements. Your Tourette's come out a lot easier, and it's a lot harder to control them. And also, for the past, for example, week, I've injured my wrist, and when you injure something, if you have Tourette's, you would know that, personally for me, my Tourette's, they love making it worse. So I'd be walking around the house, my wrist is, almost healing, and my Tourette's just go, ooh, and just, make it worse, or just, my Tourette's want to, tick and do one of these and, make my wrist even worse. And like I said, even though when I say control Tourette's, I don't mean, just in general, for other people to, not get disturbed, but also for yourself, because things like this, even though right now I've learned to control myself, they still come out sometimes, right? It still happens, especially when I'm more hyper, more energetic, more stressed, more happy or more depressed, more everything, right? My Tourette's will be more energetic. They will have more of that, let me ruin this, let me mess up his wrist. And controlling them is not easy. Even though you might be good at controlling them, they will still come out eventually, but you're gonna stop them a lot more. So yeah, it's not gonna be, well, this video is not gonna be too long, but I'm thinking of creating kind of a challenge for myself, and I don't know if you guys would like to watch. I'm surprised, but I've been looking at a few videos that I made about Tourette's, not a lot, but I've been looking at them, and I was surprised to see that quite a lot of you guys have watched them. And I decided maybe I should make like a challenge for you guys. Like videos, like series of me, like for example, like people do monk mode, like different challenges, like okay, day 1 and then day 30, how things change. I was thinking, what if I make a Tourette's like challenge? Okay, day 1 of me trying to hold in my Tourette's every day for a full day, meditating, holding them in, and reminding myself every time I do them. So pretty much, maybe I watch, so that makes sense. But what I mean is, some days I don't really pay attention to my Tourette's, right? I just let it be. Sometimes, at the shit day, I feel like shit. I just can't be able to hold my Tourette's in, and they might, I take a lot more. And I don't know if this theory is true or not, but my parents say quite a lot to me. If you learn to hold your Tourette's in, just in general, the longer you hold them in, for example, not just, if you hold it in for a few minutes, hours, like every day you train yourself, you hold in, what if gradually they will just like disappear? Because I never, I always have this thought, but I never really tried. I never tried, holding my Tourette's in every single day and actually not letting a single one out. Because sometimes I'm tired or something. I don't really want to hold my Tourette's and just let a few out. But what if I don't? What if I hold it in and see what the difference, from me holding it in, day 1 to day 30. I hope that made sense, but that will be the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed, and if you guys want to watch me create more of these Tourette's videos, then please like, subscribe, comment down below, and yeah, have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.